Solve for x by completing a square. This was standard. They gave it good marks, 4 marks. And remember, when you're completing a square, you take 2 to the other side so that it will become what? X squared minus 4x is equal to negative 2. I think that. Then after that, you've got x squared and then minus 4x. And then the process of completing a square, you are saying plus bracket. We find the coefficient of x is minus 4. So you say minus 4 half that coefficient, and then you square it, is equal to, so what you introduced, this thing that you introduced, you say minus 2, you'd say again plus minus 4 over 2 squared. You see, we introduced it before the equal sign and after the equal sign, and then you do the next steps. Hello, our most valued student. My name is Confident and welcome to our review of the Mathematics N3 paper. And this is the paper that was written on the 18th of November. And some of you guys actually sat for this exam. And some of you actually might be preparing for their final exams that are coming. So I just want to review this paper and kind of give you an idea how you could have approached it if you wrote the exam, but that is not meant to stress you, but it can also provide a guideline to those who are going to be writing the next exam on what to expect. You know, sometimes you start to see a certain trend of questions that are coming, which the examiners will be now bringing in. So it was written on the 18th of November, and then remember here you have to use a calculator when it comes to Mathematics N3. I'm not going to dwell much on the instructions here, they are basic. But one thing that you should always take note of is you need to leave your answer rounded off to 3 decimal places. That you must always remember. Alright. And then let us quickly look at this paper. As I said, this will be a review in under 24 minutes. I won't exceed that. So if you see me moving a bit faster, just know that it's a review that is under 24 minutes. I've got a timer here which says I need to cover this within the 24-minute period. Well, you might ask why, because this is a 24-minute lesson anyway. But beside that, the reason behind that is that I want to show you within this short period of time what you could have done. Now there will definitely be a full memo where I will look question by question on this paper, and it will also follow shortly, but I will make it available first for Prime members. Now, those are members who are contributing every month for the running of this channel. So they pay a certain monthly fee, and then they get privilege of accessing certain videos which are not available if you're just a person who just subscribed. So I will encourage you to be a Prime member. It's not expensive. It's under 100 Rand per month. I think it's around 80 something Rand if you're at N3. So it's not an expensive subscription in a way, but what you are doing behind the scenes, I just want to tell you to say thank you, because you are helping bring these videos to everyone. Some of the people cannot even afford, but they are able to actually use these videos for their preparation for the exam. So you might be actually changing a life if you are a Prime member. And for those of you who are able, I will say please also choose or decide to become part of a Prime member. You can cancel it anytime. Is not something that you are kind of hooked. You can do 1 month and then also cancel that subscription. YouTube is done through YouTube, so just look at YouTube and look at the part which says membership under YouTube channel, and then you can see how you can become a Prime member. It will actually help us to run this channel as well as these videos. Now let us look at this question 1.1. What was it about? Question 1.1, it was mainly on factorization, and then it's polynomial. You see, it's supposed to factorize fully. So the first one was out of 3 marks, and then here I think you needed to factorize by grouping. You needed to group like terms. And how did you group? I think if you brought these together and then you grouped those together and you do normal factorization, I think this was supposed to come out. All right, I did this question paper, but I think that's what I did. And there are many, there might have been other options, not many, but this is what I did, where I grouped that and grouped that together and did factorization there. And then this other one, when I was factorizing on this one, what I wanted you to see actually is this part. Just want to show you 4 marks. That's why they made it even 4 marks. I want to show you, it was this part whereby when you factorize, it was actually b, this one is b minus 2d squared. Yes, this is that. So that is b minus 2d squared minus 2b plus d squared. So when you factorize this, you get that. Are you seeing that? Then this is a difference of 2 squares, whereby you take the first one, which is b minus 2d minus 2b plus d. That's the first one. Are you seeing that? And then you've got the second one. Remember, difference of 2 squares. The second one will be the same thing, which is b minus 2d and then plus 2b plus d. And then you need to simplify this. In a way, what I'm trying to say here is, you could have said, even some they prefer to say, let this be x and let this be y. So do you see what you have? You have got x squared minus y squared. So when you do it, it will be x minus y, and then it will be x plus y. So now that x minus y, remember, is this one, and then the minus is this one, the y is that one, and then x plus y is the second one, which will be x. Remember, you said x is that, and then the plus sign is that, and the y is that. You see what I'm trying to do? So that was that, but you needed to just be clever there when they were saying factorize that part. So it was 4 marks for a reason, and I hope you are able to pick that up. It's a bit complicated, not really complicated for N3, but you know, you need a little bit of being careful there. Solve for x by completing a square. This was standard. They gave it good marks, 4 marks. And remember, when you're completing a square, you take 2 to the other side, so that it will become what? X squared minus 4x is equal to negative 2. I think that. Then after that, you have got x squared and then minus 4x, and then the process of completing a square, you are saying plus bracket. You find the coefficient of x is minus 4. So you say minus 4, half that coefficient, and then you square it, is equal to, so what you introduced, this thing that you introduced, you say minus 2, you'd say again plus minus 4 over 2 squared. You see, we introduced it before the equal sign and after the equal sign, and then you do the next steps, then you complete a square on that. As I said, this was the completion of a square they needed there. And then here, use the factor and remainder theorem to factorize this. Now this is 6 marks. You see why they made it 6 marks is because they have x cubed, they have x squared, but there is no x. So when you're dividing, first they say use the factor theorem and remainder theorem. Now the factor theorem says, look at number, is trial and error. You try h1, see if you can put 1 here, you put 1 here, it won't give you a 0. But let's try minus 1. If I put minus 1, it will be if I put minus 1, h minus 1, it will be 3 minus 1 minus 9 minus 1. This is cubed, this is squared, plus 12, and then here it will be minus 3 minus 9 plus 12. This is equal to 0. It means when it's equal to 0, what does it mean? It means x is equal to minus 1, then you take it back, it means x plus 1 is a factor. That's the factor part. You see, that's the factor theorem they say. And then when x plus 1 is a factor, what it means then, you are able to use the long division, whereby now I want you to check now when you're using the long division, whereby if you're using the long division, you are going to have your x plus 1 here on this part, and then here, look at it now, you are going to say 3x squared, and then you're going to say minus 3x cubed minus 9x squared. Be careful now, there is no x, you have to represent it as 0x, don't forget that, and then you say plus 12. Then you do the normal long division, where you're going to say x into 3x squared, 3x cubed is 3x squared. Remember, you're dividing x into that cubed, you're left with that 3x squared. That's what you're doing. And then you multiply this 3x squared times x and 3x squared times 1. So when you multiply, it will be 3x squared times x is 3x cubed, and then 3x squared times 1 is plus 3x squared. And then what you do, you rule off, you say minus, and then you subtract. Then when you subtract, minus 9x squared minus 3x squared, because the first one gives you a 0, the other one will give you minus 12x squared. Then you bring down this plus 0x. It's very important. Then you repeat the steps, until the end. That is the part there. Alright, and then moving on, the other one, it was simplify the following algebraic expression. Guys, this was again factorization. You needed to factorize. This is difference of two squares there. You factorize, and after factorization you do its normal fraction. This is normal algebra there. Because of my time, I need to move on. Now question 2 to me was the one which was the challenging question. You see here, I will say NB. Why am I saying NB? They were bringing something simpler, but really not simpler. You see here, they brought EX and EX minus. So what I just did here on my side, just to show you quickly, what I did here is 5 marks. You take this e to the top. When you do that, you will have e to the power x. Remember, you're using the laws of exponents, times, and then when you are taking it to the top, it will be you're using the law which says 1 over a to the power m is equal to a to the power negative m. I think that. But if I have, in this case, 1 over, for example, if it's 1 over a to the power negative m, it will be what? A to the power m. You interchange the sign. If it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. Same thing. What I'm trying to bring to you here is that you needed to do the same thing here. It's e to the power negative x squared becomes positive x squared, and then positive 6 becomes minus 6, and then minus e to the power of 2x is equal to 0. Then same base, you are using this one, a to the power m times a to the power n is a to the power m plus n. So you use the same thing, you add this. So when you add, what you'll have, e to the power of x plus x squared minus 6. Now you say equal to e to the power of 2x. And then from there, my 2x is just messed up. Then after that, you equate this is equal to that. You equate it using a to the power m is equal to a to the power n. Therefore, bases are the same. M is equal to n. Then you solve for x. That's the one that was a bit challenging for me. And then the other one is 4 marks. It was even a bit more challenging to me. This question was supposed to be the 5 marks here, the 4 marks there. That's what I think, that's what I feel, because it was a bit of a trickier question, whereby for you to prove this, the lengthy part. But now I will say watch the full video. Please watch the full video. It's a very important concept that you need to know there. It's gonna take a bit of time, because once I start working on it, I need to complete it. So let me not dwell on that. The other one here is also standard, but the better one, what you need to do, you just say a minus b. You say let a minus b, let's say, be equal to m, and a plus b be equal to n. It will become easier to simplify this. Otherwise, working on it like that, it will confuse you. But as I said, I'll be covering that in the next one. Those were the challenging ones. And then after that, there was question number 3. Question number 3, it says 3 friends, Vusi, Luvuyo, and Sbusiso, went to gamble at a casino. Vusi won half of what Sbusiso won. So if Vusi won half of what Sbusiso won, so if Vusi is V, he won half, which means Sbusiso is Vusi here is V, Luvuyo is L, Sbusiso is S. So you have to come up with equation here. It says what? Vusi won half of what Sbusiso won. Let's make it reality. If Vusi won 20 rand, they say he won half of what Sbusiso won. What did Sbusiso win? Sbusiso won 40 rand. So that Vusi will win half of that. So you see that if we multiply Vusi, whatever Vusi won, we have to multiply by 2. So if you say you use this as their VLS, we are going to say if 20 was Vusi and Sbusiso was S, we can come up with an equation to say S here, whatever Sbusiso's win will be 2 times what Vusi will win. I think that. And then Sbusiso won 8 rand more than Luvuyo. Now Sbusiso is 8 rand more. What does this mean? If you're going to win 8 rand more than, you can see that it will be here, it will be Vusi is equal to Sbusiso plus 8 rand. Are you getting that? And then they're saying now if 3 of the friends won a total of this, then we are saying Vusi plus Luvuyo plus Sbusiso, they won 710. Then you have to solve for that. That was that part. And then the other one, you had to use this one to say, given the following compound interest, make I the subject. Guys, I'll show you. This one is also basic algebra. And then solve for x and y simultaneously. An important one. They made it 5 marks. They rarely bring this, but it was very important. Where take y to the other side to get equation 3. You say x is equal to 3 minus y. So where there is x, you put 3 minus y here. You put 3 minus y here. But be careful on this other one. It will be 2 bracket 3 minus y squared. Right? And that one is 2 bracket 3 minus y. And another bracket 3 minus y. Guys, I will show you this. It was basic, but most students usually get challenged with that. I will show you in the actual video. Question 4. Also consider the following figure A below. And then they give, this is analytical geometry. And then they give you some of that information to say P is that, Q is that, and R is that. And then after that, they're saying M is the midpoint there. What we have is a midpoint of QR, and this is a midpoint of PR. And then after that, they are saying determine the coordinates of R. You're using the midpoint formula to determine that. Okay, not complicated. You just need to be aware of the midpoint formula. That's what they were trying to trick you there. To say what is the midpoint? X1 plus X2 over 2 and Y1 plus Y2 over 2. This you find in your formula sheet. Okay. Then what you do is your X1 will be there, and your X1, your X2 is your X. But the good thing is they gave you the midpoint. So you're going to do things of equating here, whereby you're going to say for the first one, it's minus 1 plus X, that is the X1 over 2. We know what is the X value. They told us the midpoint there is equal to 2. Then you solve for X. And then the second one, for Y, Y1, it's 0 plus Y2 is Y over 2. And then the Y coordinate there is negative 1,5, which is negative 3 over 2. Then you solve for X and Y there. And then the coordinates of N, the midpoint of PR, the coordinates of N there. Now you know R, you are using the same formula to find that. And then the distance between PQ, the standard, use the distance formula, as well as the equation of the line Mn in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. When you're finding the equation of the line, first of all, you find m, which is the gradient. Remember, gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You find the gradient of this. You remember you'll be having m and n. After that, you are using therefore y is equal to mx plus c to find c. After finding c, then you've got the equation of a line. By the way, moving on to the next one, it will be the question again that continues to say here the size of the obtuse angle of the inclination, I'll show you the formula for that, and then the equation of the line passing through P in the form of that, which is perpendicular. Now for perpendicular lines, you must know M1 times M2 is equal to -1. So you know the gradient of what? Of it says point P. So you know the gradient of this line. They have already given you you have calculated the gradient of PQ. You calculate it. If you're not given, then from there you use that perpendicular formula to find that. But let me show you these formulas to make things easier. If you go to your formulas, you will see that it's defined everything I was talking about on the formulas. They give you the perpendicular line, there it is, the distance formula, you needed it, the midpoint formula, you needed it, and the angle of inclination, you needed, and the gradient. So they were just asking you all these. They didn't ask you of parallel lines in that one. All right. And then to just look at the next one, so draw the graph of that. Don't forget the standard graph. You're supposed to divide by 400 on each side. Here, divide by 400. Are you with me? So that here it has to be 1. So when you divide, I think it will be y squared over 25, which is 5 squared. Here it will be 1 is x squared over is it 400, there you cancel, over 2 squared. Then when you draw that ellipse, it's something like this. An ellipse, not a circle, this is an ellipse. So go and look at the part of an ellipse. Then you're given this function here. They have drawn, says determine the coordinates of the turning point. Guys, the coordinates of the turning point, you use this formula. It's simple. There, turning point, x is equal to minus b over 2a. After finding the x value, you take that x value there that you find, it's not 0. You take whatever x value that you find. Let's say, just to show you, you find your x value here. After finding the x value, let's say, for example, x was equal to 3 here. Just out of argument's sake. Let me just quickly do it. It's minus b over 2a, which is equal to minus, and b is -3. You see? Over 2a is 1. So x was 3 over 2. Then you take this 3 over 2 in here to find the y value. You put 3 over 2 squared, you put 3 over 2, then you get the coordinates x and y. They said coordinates. Some of you usually find the x value and forget the y value. Now determine the function dy over dx. Okay, it's standard, it's basic. What you needed to know, where there is square root of x, you write it as x is x to the power 1 over 2 over 2. The one here is plus 1 over 3. This is what I prefer to do it, and say x to the power -3. And then the 1 over 2, actually I prefer writing it like this, to say when I'm writing this is what I prefer to write it as. It will be y is equal to 1 over 2 that, and then minus pi x. You see, then you can find dy over dx. Then don't forget to follow the instructions here. You leave your answer with positive exponents as well as what? As set form. All right. And then the next one was similar to the previous one, to say find dy over dx here. It says calculate the coordinates of the turning point. You differentiate this, you find f prime x. So f prime x, you use the rules of differentiation to find this, and then after that you equate it to 0 at turning point. You're going to get the x value. When you get the x value, you take that x value to the original so that you can find the y value, so that you've got x and y coordinates. So these are the coordinates. When you find the x value, you'll have two values here. The other one will be 0. You take the one which is not 0. And then question 6 here says use trigonometric identities to prove that. And then in here you're using that. It was also basic here. It's a basic one. It was not complicated. You needed to use that and then solve that, but I show you in the previous in the coming video. And then the next one, it says calculate the values that will satisfy the equation. And then this one was also not complicated, but you needed to know that this was 4. This was 4, so you needed to do that. And then guys, my time is finishing. You're supposed to solve this, and then with this, what were you given? You were given something basic. You were given say determine the angle length of AC and angle this. Here you had to use the sine rule, and here you had to use the cosine rule. Okay, and then draw this graph. I'll show you how to draw this graph using the calculator. The calculator is the best when you're drawing these graphs. Anyway guys, this is the end of the question, but as I said, 100 marks. I have a full version of this paper and I'm going to be posting it shortly, but first it will be available to Prime members. Just know that if you're a Prime member, you'll get access to the full memorandum of this. I will later post it to everyone towards at a later stage, but it is to acknowledge and appreciate Prime members because they help in running this channel. I will encourage you to consider being a Prime member. Also, if you want to access the same video, you can by buying the Mathematics N3 book for the underdogs. There is a book that I have on Takealot. It is available, and actually, sorry, it is out of stock at the moment, but it will be restocking again. It usually goes faster, so I will put it on Takealot again. And that test book is for the underdog, someone who says, I'm struggling, but I believe if you take me through the stages, I will be able to master my maths. But that book also comes with videos. We will load you to access these videos. We have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you.